Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, hello, this is John Paval here on Monday, July 21st, with an Access Arts Live special edition to let you know about a live stream happening a few hours later today at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, coming to you from the Bowdoin International Music Festival, and I did not want to let you miss it. Monday, July 21st, Bowdoin International Music Fest live streams the combined acclaimed Jupiter and Ying string quartets playing Strauss, Schoenberg, and Dvorak. That will be at 7:30 in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time today, 5:30 on the 4:30. Sorry about that. 4:30 on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning here in Europe, and 9:30 a.m. Tuesday morning down under in Australia. This concert is sold out, and you get it free of charge. There'll be 2 more concerts this week coming from the Bowdoin Music Fest. There'll be 3 more concerts this week coming from the Seattle Chamber Music Fest. Come and get it, as they say at barbecues all over the United States of America. Let me start out telling you, first of all, about the about each of these quartets. The Ying Quartet is a very special quartet when it comes to this music festival, because Philip and David, 2 of the Ying brothers in this quartet, they are the directors of the Bowdoin International Music Festival. The Ying Quartet has such an interesting history. It started out in the early 1990s as a resident quartet in the 2,000-person agricultural town, farming town of Jessup, Iowa, and they were performing they were performing like in homes, schools, churches, banks, any place they could get a place to perform. It was part of an NEA rural residence grant program going on at the time. And it's been onward and upward for them since that time. They are a mainstay of the American chamber music scene. They have an ongoing commissioning project called the Life Music Commissioning Project for both established and emerging composers. They've commissioned works by Billy Childs, Lara Auerbach, Sebastian Courier, and John Novacek. And I'm pretty sure John Novacek had a work that was played on this just the other day at the Seattle Chamber Music Festival. They've done zillions of recordings. They were artists in residence at Harvard University at one point in time in the early 2000s. I'll give you their names. They're Robin Scott and Janet Ying on the violins, Philip on the viola, and David Ying on the cello. Those last 2 are the ones who direct this entire chamber music festival. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the Jupiter Quartet, which is going to be mixing and matching with them in all 3 of the pieces that you're going to hear today, because they're also a very interesting quartet with their own personality. This is a very intimate, familial group of performers. The violinists are Nelson Lee and Meg Freivogel, and the violist is Liz Freivogel, who's the older sister of Meg, and the cellist is Daniel McDonough, who is Meg's husband and Liz's brother-in-law. So I guess the only one who's not intermarried here or interfamily is Nelson Lee, one of the violinists. Anyway, they've performed all over the place. If I would give you a list, I would just be saying they performed everywhere, okay? But I'll mention some of they play at places like Carnegie Hall and the Lincoln Center in New York. When they're in London, they play at Wigmore Hall. In Boston, it's Jordan Hall. They've played at the Esterhazy Palace in Budapest and at the Sejong Chamber Hall in Seoul. So, and they play all the major chamber music festivals. They've been quartet in residence at the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center. And that was back in 2007, 2010. Then a little over a decade ago, in 2012, they became artist in residence and faculty at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. There have they rested. as faculty members and running the chamber music program. One thing they like to do is entire groups of compositions by a particular composer. So they'll go out and do all of Bartók's string quartets. They've done a complete cycle of Beethoven string quartets at the Aspen Music Festival. And they've commissioned string quartets from just a laundry list of composers. I can't give you all that, or I'll be here for a half an hour. And this is supposed to be a brief update. Anyway, their latest album is a collaboration with the Jasper String Quartet. And if you've been following this Bowdoin International Music Festival, the festival opened with a concert by the Jasper String Quartet. So everybody's friends here. So okay. So now let me tell you a little bit about what music they're going to be playing. It's only 3 pieces. I think I can give myself the time to do that. And let me put the picture of them back up together so you see both of them while I'm talking about these pieces that they're both partners in crime in, for example. They'll start out with Richard Strauss's sextet from Capriccio, and that will be Nelson Lee and Meg Freivogel on the violin, Liz Freivogel and Philip Ying on the viola. I told you they're mixing and matching. Daniel McDonough and David Ying on the cello. This is an interesting piece because it wasn't written as itself. It was written as part of a very complex opera within an opera, which Strauss composed when he was like in his 70s. And in the opera, when the opera begins and the curtain rises, the people on stage are listening to a string quartet, a newly composed string quartet, which is the string quartet, which is also performed on a standalone basis. And there's some somewhat compromising stories about how there was a special performance of it arranged to please a Nazi Gauleiter in effect, and in return the Nazis promised that they wouldn't threaten Strauss's daughter-in-law, who was Jewish. I mentioned the story. It's in the program notes, and I mentioned it to you, but I don't want to dwell on it. The next piece that they'll be doing is Verklärte Nacht, Opus 4, one of the earliest ones, composed in 1899 by Arnold Schoenberg. And who's playing on that piece? You can't tell the players without a program. On that piece, it's Nelson Lee and Meg Freivogel on the violin, Liz Freivogel and Philip Ying on the viola, Daniel McDonough and David Ying on the cello. This was an early piece by Schoenberg, which was based on a poem called Verklärte Nacht, Transfigured Nacht. If you want to see the poem, you can go to the website of the Bowdoin International Music Festival. It's about 2 figures. I'll read you the first few lines, but they're so unpoetic that I cannot give you a dramatic reading. Transfigured night. 2 figures pass through the bare, cold grove. The moon accompanies them. They gaze into it. The moon races above some tall oaks. No trace of a cloud filters the sky's light, into which the dark treetops stretched. A female voice speaks, I am carrying a child and not yours. I walk in sin beside you. I will leave it to you to... That's a heck of a transformed night, I will tell you that. That translation is by Scott Horton, and my apologies to him if I didn't make suitably complimentary remarks about that translation. I just think that I've done a lot of writing myself. I'd love to sit down. If I had had more time, I would have sat down and given you a really poetic translation of that. This looks to me like a literal one. Anyway, then they will finish up with Dvorak's String Quartet No. 2 in G major, Opus 77, Robin Scott and Janet Ying on the violin, Philip Ying on the viola, David Ying on the cello, and Anthony Monzo on the bass. And he's not in either of those groups, but he's playing along. He's a good Joe, right? This is a nationalistic piece. And, for all the talk we have about how nationalism is dangerous, nationalism was very important in certain countries to the who were trying to break away from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, as they were trying to do in Czechoslovakia. It was also very important in Portugal. There's a whole series of a wave of music that was written. Anyway, marked on the first page of the manuscript by Dvorak was Sve mu narodu, which means for my nation. Another interesting thing about this piece is Dvorak won a prize with it. He was like 32 years old when he composed it, but there was a prize being organized by this artist forum, this group in Prague, and he submitted it and he won. And that is part of what helped him rise to fame. A shout out to Peter Asimov, who provided the detailed program notes on which everything I just told you is based. Those of you who are watching this live, what a pleasure to see you there. I hope that you will have the pleasure of tuning in to see this live stream later today. I will give you the times again at 7:30 in the evening Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning here in Europe. That's not too late to stay up to hear some great chamber music by two top chamber music quartets, and 9:30 in the morning tomorrow morning down under in Australia, Tuesday morning. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this was helpful to you to have some of this background. I'm on my way to Paris, and from there for a few days, and from there tomorrow I will be doing another live stream of all the other chamber music live streams that are coming this week. As I said, there are 2 more free of charge live streams coming from the Bowdoin International Music Festival, and 3 live streams, which are not free of charge, coming from the Seattle Chamber Music Society Summer Music Fest, what they call the world's largest chamber music party. So show up or blow up. Ciao for now. See you tomorrow if you want to tune in again. Bye-bye.